Hey, hi again. Rochelle here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of core spinning. Now, just like with my last video, this is the second time I've ever done it. The yarn that I've chosen for the core is this. It's from my weaving stash, and it's three bits of yarn that are lying alongside each other. One is a lightly plied yarn, and then there's two singles, which may be cotton, maybe something else. It's kind of hard to know because the label tells you absolutely nothing. Now, as well as the core, of course, we also have the fibre that we're spinning. Now, in this case, I've chosen a merino silk. This is by Anna Harris, who is a local Christchurch dyer and has a wonderful eye for colour. I've put this through my diz first to attenuate the fibres and open them up so that they'll feed a little more easily. I can spin this normally without doing this, but when I'm doing core spinning, I have discovered that you really need something that's going to actually move without too much extra help. So let's just get it all ready to go. So now, for my wheel setup, I'll be spinning quite close to the orifice, and I have my tension actually set quite a bit higher than I normally would. Normally I don't have a lot of draw in, but in this particular instance I do have quite a bit. Now I'm going to put my core down between my feet where it's out of the way, but will thread through fairly easily as I need it. And of course the first thing I'm going to do is get it started. So I'll just get that started up. Okay, and basically the main problem I'm finding is that it tends to try and grab hold of my fibre faster than I can actually then go with it. So sometimes I find I have to stop, because otherwise what I end up with is effectively applied very fat yarn instead of what I'm aiming for, which is my single nicely covered in fluff. Okay, so I'm just sort of wanting to, I find if I pull it out a little bit as I go and it goes back in, it tends to cover the core a lot better. And this could actually do with being attenuated just a bit more than what I've actually done. But the thing is, as I said, this is only the second time I've ever done this. The first one was actually a lot fluffier looking than this. Really quite large lumps attached to it almost. Whereas this one is actually coming out a little closer onto the core, which is what I'm actually after. And we'll get a bit more onto it. So with the first one, when I actually washed it, I can see the core in a few places, which is definitely not what I want. I have to say, normally I would be doing this in trousers, because I have to say that 1950s style full circle skirt is not really ideal for spinning. It's not actually ideal for the amount of wind we've got today either. It tends to blow up on me, but that's okay. Right, you can see it's going on quite thickly there, so I'm just going to draw it out a bit. It has other ideas, as you can probably tell. You don't get a lot of meterage with this. But then again, the yarn that you're getting is one that you're probably going to use more for just an accent in a piece, whether that piece be weaving or knitting, or possibly crochet. Not being a crocheter, I can't say for certain on that, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't use it for that. You can see here, now that the tension's come off, this is actually not as good as I'd like, so we're just going to try that again. This skirt is really a bit of a pain for this, so we'll just attenuate it out a bit. Get rid of that bit because we don't want to have that in there just yet. So I'm pretty sure this is one of those things that as I do it more I will get better and better. But one thing that I found when I was looking on YouTube is most of the videos that I found are people who've obviously done it a lot. And I kind of like the idea of being able to see someone doing it who's not done it before, so that you can actually see that yes, the beginner can do it. It may not be as pretty as the experts. Now, this one certainly isn't as pretty as the experts ones, because the experts ones are nice and even and, you know, just a little fluffy and they don't have these lumpy bits that mine has. But at the same time, everyone has to start somewhere, and this is apparently where I'm starting. Okay. Now, the other thing that I just wanted to mention is that when you finish this, because the fibre is still fairly loose, what I'm planning on doing is shocking it. So I'm going to put it through a wash with hot water, and then I'm going to rinse it in cold, and then rinse it again in hot, and rinse it again in cold. And I'm not sure, I don't think I will actually whack it, because I suspect that whacking it may actually encourage it to redistribute itself along the core, which could well result in more of an uncovered core than what I am going to end up with anyway, which is definitely not the ideal. Once again, it's just got a bit stuck here, so let's just tease it out a bit. That's a bit better. I think really, for future reference, I would probably actually pre-draft a bit more than what I did, so that my fibre is thinner, just simply because that would probably get rid of some of these lumpy bits here, and it would also mean that I would get more length. And I'm actually going to use the yarn, more length could be handy. Okay, now with the core, there's one thing to be aware of. You don't want anything that's already tightly plied, because in general you're going to be going in the same direction that the core was plied in, and if it's too tightly plied you're going to end up with a very unbalanced yarn at the end of it. Now this one's going to be probably slightly unbalanced, just simply because of the fact that it was, although loosely plied, probably not loosely enough considering the extra twist I'm getting in here. But at the same time, it's probably about as good as I have in my stash at the moment. Now I've seen other ones where they use, I think, nylon and acrylic yarns. I'm not sure about that. But then I am a natural fibre snob, so it's probably not entirely surprising that I'm not entirely sure about that. It's probably perfectly fine. It just sort of goes against the grain for me. That, and I don't have a lot of that sort of thing in my stash anyway, even with my weaving stash. So I'll just get this a little bit further more done. But you can start to see we're getting quite a nice colourful and dense yarn. And one other thing that I've found with this is, because I'm just using a normal bobbin, it tends to fill up fairly quickly. Oops, I've got a bit there that I didn't want. So I'm actually going to save up, I think, for the Margecraft Wildflower, which is especially designed for spinning the more arty types of yarns. And ultimately I would actually like to get good enough at this that I could possibly sell it, maybe even in the wool, yarn and fibres swap down at the tannery in Christchurch. I'm certainly not anywhere near good enough at that yet. A long way to go, but it's not something that I've seen in the shop. Most of the yarns there are fairly, I guess, conventional, possibly because that's what people are used to, and yeah, it's what I'm used to too, but it's nice to branch out from time to time and try something a bit different. And the other thing is, if I get good enough, I may even be able to teach it. Obviously nowhere near that yet, but I quite enjoy teaching people how to do new things. So you can see here, look at that one. Now when I wash that, that is probably going to expose the core. In fact, you can see the core there. So that one, I think we'll just pull through a little bit and maybe encourage it to reconsider what it's doing. That's definitely not how I want it. This is one of those things that I will learn more about as I practice more. I'm certainly not the only one doing this at the Guild though. So it'll be good to see if other people start doing it. But I think that'll do for the moment. I've still got quite a bit of fibre in the bag, but it's enough to give you an idea of how the technique